Humanity's first mistake was trusting the treacherous Vakari Empire. But our last mistake just might be telling those alien bastards to run and hide from us. Lieutenant Commander Noah Bennett's heart raced as alarms blared inside the UESF Dauntless. The young officer steadied his breathing and focused on his instruments. Earth achieved faster-than-light travel capability just 18 years ago in 2119, and Bennett was already a gifted pilot and fleet tactician at age 35. But today, those skills would be put to the ultimate test. Lieutenant Commander Bennett, report to the bridge immediately. This is not a drill. Unknown alien fleet inbound at high speeds. The ship's comms crackled. Bennett's blood ran cold. Humanity had yet to encounter another intelligent civilization in their FTL-era explorations, until now. He wondered if these were the same unidentified aliens responsible for his brother's death in that tragic Alpha Centauri skirmish. As Bennett sprinted to the bridge, he couldn't shake the sense of dread building in his gut. Earth was not ready for hostile first contact, but they had no choice. Long-range sensors showed the massive alien fleet pouring into the solar system from interstellar space. Bennett, you're our best pilot. Take the Phoenix and attempt peaceful contact with the unknowns. But if this goes south, you get the hell out of there, understood? Earth is counting on your recon intel to mobilize defenses in case those ships aren't friendly, the Admiral ordered. Bennett saluted crisply. Aye, sir. Let's hope for the best but prepare for the worst. He turned on his heel and double-timed it to the hangar bay. The fate of humanity could very well depend on this desperate first contact mission. Failure was not an option. But as the young officer boarded the Phoenix, humanity's most advanced diplomatic vessel, a dark sense of foreboding gripped him. Earth's first mistake was blindly trusting that the boundless cosmos would embrace them with open arms, and he feared that humanity's final mistake would be catastrophically underestimating whatever nightmarish adversary now darkened their doorstep. Bennett sent the first contact package, broadcasting greetings in 742 alien languages, decoded from radio signals intercepted by Earth's deep space telescopes. The seconds ticked by, each one an eternity. The bridge crew held their breath, sweat beading on furrowed brows. Just as despair began to creep into Bennett's heart, a melodic voice crackled through the comms. "Greetings, Terrans, welcome to the Galactic community," it said in flawless English. "I am High Commander Uko of the Vidian species. We invite you to a diplomatic summit aboard our flagship, the Celestial Harmony, to discuss your entry into the Galactic Empire." Bennett's eyes widened. An empire? Earth had barely dipped its toes into the cosmic ocean, and now they were being asked to join a federation of star systems. He composed himself and replied, "I am Lieutenant Commander Noah Bennett of the United Earth Space Fleet. On behalf of all humanity, we are honored by your invitation." The alien flagship was a wonder to behold as the Phoenix approached. It stretched over a kilometer long, its hull composed of shimmering, opalescent crystal. Bennett and his team were ushered into a cavernous hangar bay by hovering drones. A delegation of Vidians awaited them, humanoids with cerulean skin, silver hair, and piercing amethyst eyes. High Commander Uko stepped forward, towering over the humans at 7 feet tall. He spread his long-fingered hands. "Be welcomed aboard the Celestial Harmony. It pleases us to see humanity taking its first steps toward the stars. The Galactic Empire values peace and cooperation above all else," Uko continued, as he led them deeper into the ship. "Hundreds of worlds have joined us in friendship, their unique strengths and cultures enriching us all. Earth would be a valued member of our great civilization." Bennett nodded politely, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Uko's smile never quite reached his eyes, and his gaze seemed to be analyzing and appraising the humans like a predator sizing up its prey. What was the catch? No empire gave away membership for free. "That's a very generous offer, High Commander," Bennett said carefully. "But what would be expected of Earth in return? I have to imagine there are responsibilities that come with membership." Uko's smile widened, but that strange gleam in his eyes only intensified. All in good time, Commander Bennett, all in good time. For now, let us adjourn to the negotiation chambers to discuss the glorious future. Bennett's instincts screamed at him to be cautious. Earth had made a grave mistake in broadcasting its technological advancement for all the galaxy to hear. Now, he feared that whatever this empire truly wanted from them, refusal may not be an option. He steeled himself and followed Uko, ready to fight tooth and nail for humanity's freedom if this first contact turned sour. As the Phoenix returned to Earth, Bennett found himself swept up in a whirlwind of activity. Earth's leaders were positively giddy at the prospect of joining the Galactic Empire. The President herself shook Bennett's hand, congratulating him on making first contact. "This is the dawn of a new era for humanity," she said, her eyes shining with ambition. "We'll leapfrog centuries ahead and take our rightful place among the stars." Bennett tried to voice his concerns about the Vidians' true motives, but he was brushed off. "You're being paranoid, Noah," his admiral said, clapping him on the shoulder. "The Vidians are offering us the keys to the galaxy. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth." Within weeks, Vidian ships were landing on Earth, their occupants greeted as heroes. Uko himself took up residence in a sprawling compound outside New York, which quickly became the nerve center of Vidian-Earth relations. Vidian tech flowed into human labs. Vidian advisors embedded themselves in key government agencies and corporations. For his part, Bennett found himself promoted to captain and assigned as the official liaison to the Vidians. He spent his days in endless meetings with Uko and his staff, discussing everything from joint military exercises to cultural exchange programs. Uko was always charming, always ready with a joke or a compliment, but Bennett couldn't shake the feeling that the alien was playing a long game, one where humanity ended up as vassals rather than partners. As the months passed, Bennett's suspicions only grew. He noticed Vidian advisors taking control of key infrastructure, from power grids to communications networks. Vidian corporations were buying up human businesses left and right, often for ludicrously inflated sums, and the joint defense installations the Vidians were building in Earth orbit and on Luna were starting to look more like fortresses than research stations. Bennett compiled his evidence and brought it to his superiors, but they dismissed him as a troublemaker. "We're on the verge of a golden age, and you want to derail it with baseless accusations," the admiral snapped. "The Vidians are our friends, Captain. I suggest you remember that." But Bennett couldn't ignore his gut. He started digging deeper, cultivating a network of like-minded officers and civilians who shared his concerns. They met in secret, trading intel and making plans for the day the Vidians showed their true colors. Because Bennett knew that day was coming, it was only a matter of time before the Vidians tightened the noose and revealed that humanity had signed away its freedom in the name of progress. Bennett's heart raced as his fingers flew across the computer terminal. He had to be quick. If the Vidians caught him snooping in their classified files, it would be the end. His eyes widened as he decrypted the latest transmission. The blood drained from his face as the true scope of the aliens' plan unfolded before him. "By the stars," he whispered, "they mean to enslave us all." The door to the communications room hissed open. Bennett spun, hand flying to his sidearm. High Commander Uko loomed in the doorway, flanked by 2 guards. The Vidian's amethyst eyes glittered coldly. "Captain Bennett," Uko said, voice dripping with false cordiality. "What an unexpected surprise." Bennett stood slowly, keeping his hand near his weapon. "The game's up, Uko. I know the truth. The Galactic Empire is nothing more than a front for your conquest." Uko laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "Of course it is, you foolish primate. Did you really think we would elevate your kind out of the goodness of our hearts?" The alien commander stepped forward, towering over Bennett. "Your species is just the latest in a long line to fall under our sway. Your resources will feed our war machine. Your people will serve as our thralls." Bennett's jaw clenched. "We'll never submit to you." "You already have," Uko sneered. "Your leaders dance to our tune. Your world is ripe for the taking." His eyes narrowed. "Just like your brother's ship was, when we destroyed it." White-hot rage surged through Bennett's veins. "That was you?" "Of course. We needed to give you a reason to seek out allies against the big bad universe, to drive you into our waiting arms." Uko's smile was pure malice. "And you played your part perfectly." With a roar, Bennett drew his weapon and fired. The guards fell, chests smoking, but Uko was faster, inhumanly so. The Vidian's hand shot out, seizing Bennett by the throat and lifting him off his feet. "I should kill you for that," Uko hissed, eyes blazing. "But no, I want you to live to see your world burn, knowing you were too weak to stop it." He hurled Bennett across the room. The human crashed into the terminal, sparks flying. Alarms began to blare. Bennett staggered to his feet, snatching the data drive with the incriminating files. He had to get this information back to Earth, to those few who would still listen. He sprinted for the hangar bay, dodging Vidian soldiers at every turn. Laser blasts scorched the walls around him. Bennett returned fire, his aim true. He burst into the bay, racing for his shuttle. A shot grazed his leg, sending him tumbling. But he pushed through the pain, leaping aboard his craft and punching the engines. The shuttle rocketed out of the hangar, plunging into the star-strewn void. Bennett plugged in coordinates for Earth, praying he wouldn't be too late. As the blue-green world grew larger in his view screen, a transmission crackled through the comm. "Says Captain Noah Bennett is hereby declared a traitor and an enemy of the state." The president's voice rang out, cold and hard. "He is to be shot on sight. The Vidian Empire is our friend and ally. Long live the Empire." Bennett's heart sank as he realized the depth of the Vidians' control. His own people would be hunting him now. But he had to persist. The future of humanity was at stake. He landed in a remote stretch of wilderness, the shuttle's stealth systems masking his approach. As he disembarked, a handful of figures emerged from the trees. Bennett tensed, then relaxed as he recognized the faces of his most trusted crewmates. "Captain," his first officer said, relief in her eyes, "when we heard the announcement, we knew it had to be a lie." Bennett gripped her shoulder. "The Vidians have us in their clutches, but we're going to break free no matter the cost." He held up the data drive. "This is our weapon, proof of their treachery. We need to get this to anyone who will listen, anyone who still cares about human freedom." His crew nodded grimly, determination etched on their faces. They knew the odds were against them. They knew they might be walking into certain death. But they also knew that some causes were worth dying for. Bennett took a deep breath, squaring his shoulders. The battle for Earth's soul had begun, and he would fight it to his last breath. Explosions rocked Vidian outposts across the globe as Bennett's resistance struck with lightning precision. Power stations, communications hubs, supply depots, all erupted into flames under the rebels' relentless assault. In their hidden bases, Bennett and his comrades worked feverishly to decrypt and broadcast the files exposing the Vidians' sinister agenda. Grainy footage of Uko's damning confession went viral, igniting a firestorm of outrage. Disillusioned human soldiers defected en masse to join the resistance. Riots and uprisings flared in every city as humanity awoke to the bitter truth of their supposed allies. But the Vidians responded with brutal swiftness. Legions of genetically enhanced warriors marched through the streets, gunning down any who dared oppose them. Scorched corpses littered the rubble, the acrid stench of death hanging heavy in the air. The Vidians made an example of the dissenters, erecting grisly monuments from the broken bodies of the slain as a warning against further defiance. Undeterred, Bennett and his rebels only fought harder. They infiltrated a Vidian cloning facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, their jaws dropping at the horrific sight within. Row after row of artificial wombs stretched into the shadows, each containing a Vidian fetus engineered for conquest. The true scope of the Empire's machinations hit Bennett like a hammer blow. This was no mere occupation. It was an extermination, the systematic replacement of humanity with a race bred for war. Gritting his teeth, Bennett planted the charges and watched grimly as the birthing chamber vanished in a maelstrom of fire and collapsing stone. Yet for every factory they destroyed, a dozen more rose in its place. The situation grew ever more desperate. In a last daring gambit, Bennett and his elite squadrons breached the Vidian flagship in high orbit. Alarms shrieked and energy bolts crackled as they blasted their way to the bridge. There Uko awaited, a cruel sneer twisting his features. "You're too late, Bennett," the alien spat. "Earth is ours. Your species is finished." With a roar, Bennett launched himself at his foe. They grappled across the command deck, a whirlwind of punches and kicks. Consoles shattered under their fury, sparks raining from ruptured conduits. Though his muscles screamed in agony, Bennett battled on, memories of his fallen comrades lending strength to his blows. In a final wrenching effort, he seized Uko's head and slammed it into the deck with a sickening crunch. The Vidian went limp, his skull fractured. Panting, Bennett hauled himself to the communications array and with blood-slicked fingers broadcast the damning files across every frequency. From the heart of the flagship, he beamed the ugly truth of the Vidians to every corner of the Empire, to every subject race that languished in chains. Like a spark in a powder keg, the revelation ignited a firestorm of rebellion. 1,000 worlds rose up in defiance, the Empire's iron grip shattering like glass. Seizing the moment, Bennett gathered every ship still capable of flight, every warrior still drawing breath, a ragtag armada of human and alien vessels, united by a shared thirst for freedom, a common hunger for vengeance against their oppressors. With grim resolve, they plunged into the maelstrom of the Empire's crumbling defenses, the Vidian throne world looming ahead. Weapons fire lit the void like hellish lightning, ships erupting into plumes of molten shrapnel. Bennett flew his battered cruiser straight into the heart of the chaos, the enemy flagship dominating the viewscreen. That monstrous vessel was the key, the nexus from which the Vidians broadcast their genetic tampering signal, the central node that allowed them to subjugate and transform entire species into obedient thralls. Warnings blared, red lights flashing as the cruiser bucked and heaved under the onslaught. Consoles exploded, bulkheads crumpling inward. Through the mayhem, Bennett glimpsed the flagship's pulsing core, a seething knot of dark energy. If he could just reach it. With a final defiant roar, Bennett gunned the engines and rammed the cruiser into the heart of the flagship. A cataclysmic blast tore through the Vidian ship, fire blossoming from every portal. The core ruptured, an unholy screech echoing across the stars as the genetic tampering signal died with a sputter. Across the Empire, the Vidians writhed in agony, their engineered bodies reverting, warping without the signal to maintain their forms. Their fleets fell into disarray, rebel ships seizing the advantage and pressing the attack. One by one, the Vidian ships winked out, reduced to clouds of shrapnel. But on the flagship's shattered bridge, a single figure stirred. Uko, broken and bleeding, dragged himself to the viewscreen. With his last rattling breath, he beheld the Empire for which he had sacrificed everything collapsing into embers. A final choked scream tore from his throat as the conflagration consumed him. From the ashes of Armageddon, a new dawn rose over the liberated worlds. Human and alien stood side by side, united by the sacrifices of the fallen. Though Earth lay in ruins, its spirit endured, the shattered remnants of humanity rising to take their place in a free galaxy. But even as the survivors began to rebuild, they felt keenly the absence of the man who had made it all possible. Noah Bennett, the hero who had given everything to unshackle the races of the Empire, the rebel who had ignited the flames of resistance. Though his body drifted among the stars, his legacy lived on in the hearts of all those he had freed. In the squares of 100 worlds, monuments rose to honor his courage, his indomitable will, and on a distant Earth, scarred but unbroken, his comrades gathered to remember the leader, the friend, the brother they had lost. "To Noah Bennett," they intoned, voices thick with grief and pride, "the man who gave us the future, may we forever strive to be worthy of his sacrifice." And with heavy hearts and eyes turned to the stars, they began the work of building a galaxy that would never again fall to the shadow of tyranny. A galaxy where all species could stand tall and free. A galaxy born from the ashes of one man's unbreakable resolve. If you finish this story, please subscribe and like the video. Then leave a comment that says, "I liked the story," and I will heart every single one of them. It really helps me. Thank you for your time.